Their offers were very attractive, but I had turned them all down because David needed me. The company's operations and all its new products relied on my core research. I gave up my future, working tirelessly for him. But once the company grew stronger, he kicked me to the curb. It was then I realized that devotion wasn't always reciprocated. Thinking of this, I replied, "I'll report tomorrow." I bought the earliest flight and began packing. As I packed, I realized I couldn't even fill a suitcase. The closet was full of David's suits. My clothes were few and worn. The only thing of value was the watch he had given me, an old model from over a decade ago. I treasured it. It was a gift from David, bought with his first bonus. Back then, he smiled brightly as he gave it to me, promising to love me forever, saying one day he'd buy me everything. But once he had money, he never bought me anything nice again. On our 7th anniversary, I asked him for a proper anniversary gift. He got angry, scolding me for being wasteful. After that, to correct my spending, he set a strict budget. Any expense over a certain amount needed finance approval. The man I loved had become a stranger. When did everything change? Maybe when Ella appeared. He restricted every penny I spent. But for Ella, he was generous. When Ella said, "I want this," he bought her a limited edition smartwatch worth millions. He was always clear about boundaries with me at the office. But with Ella, he let her call him David casually. He took her out during work hours. As I was thinking, the watch slipped from my hand and fell. I picked it up and saw the surface was scratched, revealing cheap material inside. The watch was fake. I couldn't help but laugh. This relationship was a mistake from the start. At least now, it wasn't too late. I threw the watch away and cut up all our photos. Just then, my phone rang. An Instagram update from Ella. In the photo, David was holding Hannah, letting her messy hands touch his expensive suit, looking at her with doting eyes. Ella was leaning against him, feeding him a bite of food, and he ate it without disgust. It was so ironic. He had always been a clean freak. Once, when our daughter accidentally spilled juice on his shoes, he yelled at her and locked her in a room. And when I once mistakenly used his glass, he smashed it in front of me. How disgusting. But he only had a problem with our hygiene. I let out a cold laugh and gave a like. That only strengthened my resolve to leave. Once finished, I went to bed. I hadn't been asleep long when I was woken by knocking. It was David. He hated using the passcode, so he always had me open the door. Before, he never even needed to knock. He'd just shout, and I'd run. But now, I just turned over and continued sleeping. The next second, David angrily kicked the door open, flipped the light on, and shouted, "Victoria, are you deaf? Why didn't you open the door?" The sudden light woke me. I had been sleeping deeply. Seeing David's dark expression, I was a little surprised. Did he actually come back? Every time he went out with Ella, he'd always stay at her place. But once, when our 5-year-old daughter said she was scared of the dark and wanted him to stay, he'd said she was being melodramatic. Back then, I would get into huge arguments with him. But now, I didn't care. I gave a faint, pulled the blanket over my head, and went back to sleep. David froze, then frowned. "Don't play around. I'm tired. Get up and draw a bath for me. And wash this." He tossed his jacket at me. The collar had lipstick stains and smelled strongly of Ella's perfume. It was disgusting. If this had been before, I would have eagerly gotten up to serve him. But now he was just a nuisance. I tossed the jacket back. "You're not disabled. Do it yourself."